者
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're going over all 32 arcs from the anime and manga One Piece, from least great to most peak.
生まれてくる子に罪はない。ガープ、俺の子を頼んだぜ。
Number 32, Long Ring Long Land Arc. Sometimes named after the Davy Back fight it centers on, this arc is one you probably expected to see at the bottom. And yeah, we can't really argue that. Luffy and company engaging in a pirate competition with their crew on the line is quite entertaining. Foxy is a ridiculous villain, and his match against Luffy could well be one of the funniest fights in the series. The arc is often criticized as unimportant to the overall story, but Long Ring Long Land may have more importance to the endgame than people give it credit. And not just because it introduced Admiral Aokiji.
Ice Age.
We'll have to see which of the many Davy Back fight theories pan out though. Number 31, Syrup Village Arc. Usopp's introduction to the series isn't bad by any means. Usopp is immediately entertaining, his relationship with Kaya is sweet, we get some amusing fight scenes, and the Straw Hats obtain their iconic ship, the Going Merry. Usopp's many lies also act as subtle foreshadowing. Villain Captain Kuro has a great design, and he's a threatening foe for this point in the story. However, his plan is needlessly complicated and a little bit dumb. Also, for how short Syrup Village is, some argue it feels longer than it should be, and it falls a little short compared to other Straw Hat introduction arcs. It's still great, but fails to reach its potential.
Luffy, やっぱり聞かねえなだ。
俺の名前を一生覚えてろ。俺は海賊王になる男だ。
Number 30, Reverse Mountain Arc. At a whopping 2 episodes, Reverse Mountain is the shortest arc in all of One Piece. It sees the Straw Hats arrive in the Grand Line by sailing up and over the eponymous mountain. At the Twin Capes below, they encounter the huge whale Laboon, as well as the lighthouse keeper Crocus. Plus, they meet 2 Baroque Works agents, one of whom becomes an honorary Straw Hat later. It's a tiny arc, so its actual substance may not be up to standard, but it does some heavy lifting in introducing world-building elements and several characters who prove surprisingly important to the story. Number 29, Amazon Lily Arc. After the Straw Hats are separated, Luffy is dropped onto an island of only women, and must convince the Kuja, led by the ravishing warlord Boa Hancock, to let him go.
よもやその男の行い忘れたわけではあるまいな。ごめんなさい姉様。
Amazon Lily is a back-to-basics adventure story starring Luffy, which can be a bit jarring coming off the previous arc, even if we do get glimpses into what happened to the other crew members. The arena fights offer some decent action and opportunities for Luffy to shine. Hancock and her sister's backstory also provides more insights into the despicable world nobles.
我々たちは一切の隙間見せぬ。もう誰からも支配されとうない。
However, aside from Hancock, most of the Kuja aren't very memorable. Amazon Lily also has the unfortunate fate of being stuck between some of the best arcs. Number 28, Orangetown Arc. The second story arc in the series, Orangetown sees Luffy come into conflict with one of his most persistent and comedic rivals, Buggy the Clown. He and Zoro also meet and team up with Nami, their future navigator. Both these crucial characters make a good splash here. The arc is still One Piece in its early stages, but creator Eiichiro Oda is already adept at pulling at our heartstrings. He even makes a dog's backstory tragic. While other arcs may rise higher, Orange Town still helps lay some important foundations. Number 27, Return to Sabare arc. The first post-time skip arc sees the Straw Hats reunite on Sabare Archipelago. We're treated to our first glimpse at the crew's new looks, as well as some of their abilities. There's also some hilarious misunderstandings because of a group of imposter Straw Hats who are also recruiting at the same time. While it's a shorter arc, the Return to Sabare still acts as an important bridge that also introduces some surprisingly important characters. Seriously, who'd have thought Caribou was so crucial? Bottom line though, the arc is a tremendous relief as it finally reunites our heroes after so long apart. Number 26, Romance Dawn arc. The very first story arc, Romance Dawn, lays the groundwork for everything that comes afterwards. We meet Luffy, Zoro, Shanks, and Kobe, all of whom play crucial roles throughout the story. We see Luffy receive his iconic straw hat and devil fruit from Shanks, take on Axe Hand Morgan and Alvida, and recruit Zoro to his side. Even things that wouldn't be revealed until halfway through the story, like Haki, are foreshadowed here. Plenty of arcs are longer and technically better, but all of them owe a lot to the one that started it all. Number 25, Whiskey Peak arc. When the Straw Hats arrive at their first island in the Grand Line, Whiskey Peak seems surprisingly welcoming to pirates. However, the town is actually full of Baroque Works bounty hunters. They also meet their future comrade Nico Robin, even if she seems villainous at first. Despite its so-so location and essentially being a setup arc, Whiskey Peak remains a memorable and entertaining first foray into the Grand Line. Number 24, Fishman Island arc. Of all the longer arcs, Fishman Island is arguably the weakest. The Straw Hats' arrival at this long-awaited undersea location is marred by an attempted coup by Fishman pirates. The setting is inventive, and the thematic examination of generational hatred and racism are poignant. Plus, the Straw Hats battles in the plaza are absolutely hype, and there's some fantastic setup for future events. But honestly, it's hard to deny that the villains are kind of lackluster and the pacing can be a bit slow, particularly in the anime. And let's face it, One Piece has done better Save the Kingdom arcs before and since. Number 23, Little Garden arc. A quintessential adventure arc, Little Garden sees the Straw Hats arrive on a prehistoric island where two giants have been locked in an ongoing duel for a century. However, their contest is interrupted by Baroque Works. The arc has some entertaining fights and a thoroughly punchable villain in Mr. 3. It also acts as a crucial development in Usopp's character and introduces Elbaf, one of the most anticipated final islands in the Grand Line. Little Garden is a fun little arc with an inventive setting and great characters and world building. It just doesn't reach the emotional or storytelling heights of some others. Number 22, Logtown Arc. The epilogue to East Blue and the prologue to the Grand Line, Logtown is an important linchpin. The Straw Hats visit the town of the late Pirate King's birth and death, but run into the determined Marine Captain Smoker and old foes Buggy and Alvida.
あいつゴム人間か。
くそー、足が絡まった。
てめえ一体何やってんだ。
The arc helps establish the parallels between Luffy and Roger and introduces major figures like Dragon. It also helps set the precedent that One Piece characters aren't necessarily left behind once the crew leaves a location. They can and will come back. It's in Logtown that the series begins to feel like a living, breathing world where anything can happen.
俺は海賊王になる男だ。俺は海賊王になる男だ。
Number 21, Punk Hazard Arc. The new world begins with a bang, as the Straw Hats arrive on Punk Hazard, becoming embroiled in the plots of Warlord Trafalgar Law to take down mad scientist Caesar Clown.
仲間がやられた。助けてくれ。わめくだけ。耳障りだ。
The arc does a lot of heavy lifting, planting the seeds for multiple future story arcs, introducing a dozen characters, many of them important or familiar, and featuring a ton of action and hijinks.
そうだ。麦わら。お前俺の部下にしてやっても。
Sure, Caesar is hard to take seriously as a villain, that laugh, but Punk Hazard has a few cool fights, a ton of new lore, and a creative location. Still, it has a lot of running around and elements that probably could have been streamlined. Like, did we need the Yeti Cool Brothers? Number 20, Jaya Arc. When their lug post points at the sky, the Straw Hats seek help from a lone dreamer on an island of pirates who are skeptical of the so-called Sky Island.
結局昼間と同じじゃねえか。
Jaya is mostly a setup arc for the next Sky High setting, with some great character moments for Luffy, especially that iconic one-hit KO on Bellamy. However, it also introduces some of the series' biggest figures, from multiple warlords to the 5 elders to Whitebeard.
上がったら帰り。あなたれとは話したかねえよ。
Luffy also encounters the man who may be his greatest rival, Blackbeard. Dreams never end, nor does our love for this arc.
人の夢は終わらねえ。
Number 19, Leverly Arc. Sometimes called the Reverie Arc, this short arc deals primarily with the eponymous World Summit between royalty, while also detailing Luffy's new level of notoriety.
5億から一気に3倍の15億だからな。
The Leverly sees dozens of old characters coming together in one place, bouncing off each other in fun and interesting ways. Major lore drops also occur, most notably a shadowy figure named Imu, who apparently rules the world. Honestly, while everything that happens is fantastic and game-changing, it's basically only half an arc. The fact that its events conclude much later leaves it feeling less satisfying than it could. Number 18, Post-War Arc. An epilogue to the massive Summit War, the post-war arc deals with the fallout of the huge conflict, while setting the stage for the time skip. The centerpiece, however, is an extended flashback detailing Luffy and Ace's childhood, and the supposed death of their third brother, Sabo. Along with this emotional story, we're treated to foreshadowing for the second half of One Piece, with groundwork being laid for the Straw Hats' 2 years of training to become stronger. Speaking of which, we finally get an explanation on how Haki works.
相手の気配をより強く感じる力、これが見聞色の覇気。
Post-war perfectly balances exposition, tragedy, and character growth, while also acting as a breather after the intense previous arc. Number 17, Post-Enies Lobby arc. Another epilogue arc, Post-Enies Lobby sees the Straw Hats return to Water 7 to recuperate after picking a fight with the world government.
わしがお前を仙人の谷に突き落としたのも、夜のジャングルへ放り込んだのも、風船にくくりつけて空へ飛ばしたのも、全て貴様を強い男にするためじゃ。
The arc sees every member of the crew receive bounties for the first time. The Straw Hats also welcome not only a new member in Frankie, but also welcome Usopp and Robin back and obtain a new ship, the Thousand Sunny.
この百獣の王の船に乗れ。
Major lore about the four emperors is dropped, Kobe returns, and we get introduced to Luffy's grandfather and father. Oh, and some old guy meets a one-armed man, while Luffy's brother fights a guy who loves cherry pie. I mean, come on, it's hype. Number 16, Thriller Bark Arc. When the Straw Hats arrive on a spooky floating island, they team up with Talking Skeleton Brook to take down the warlord ruling it.
死んでごめんじゃないでしょうに。男が一度必ず帰ると言ったのだから。
Thriller Bark can prove divisive given some of its humor and a slower beginning, but its horror aesthetic is great, and it still contains some of the funniest gags in the whole series. The fights are generally excellent, and there's some great foreshadowing for later arcs, plus surprising connections to previous ones. Brook's backstory is also among the most tragic of all. Binks' sake will forever give us the feels. While Thriller Bark's critics may claim it's inconsequential, its proponents maintain that it's epic because nothing happened. Number 15, Drum Island Arc. The introduction of the Straw Hats reindeer Dr. Chopper, Drum Island is one of the better crew debuts. With Chopper's help, Luffy sends the country's bumbling tyrannical king flying. Meanwhile, the snowy setting is beautiful, and Chopper's origin story is not only suitably moving, it also touches on fundamental themes for the series. While Wapol makes for a cartoonish and barely threatening villain, Drum Island's strengths balance out the downsides. The arc even sneaks in the seeds for the Summit War with the first mentions of Ace and Blackbeard, as well as revealing Gold Roger's real name.
俺の名はエース。そいつが来たらそう言ってくれりゃわかる。
Drum Island may be fairly short, but it does everything it sets out to do wonderfully. Number 14, Baratier Arc. A trip to the floating restaurant Baratier sees the Straw Hats recruit a cook, Sanji, while also getting a taste of how terrifying the Grand Line can be.
たった一人の男に50隻の艦隊が壊滅させられたなんて。
Sanji's backstory with Zeph is a major highlight, as it's quite impactful. Equally great is Zoro's iconic duel with Mihawk, which is an impressive preview of the peak of One Piece character's power. Plus, Luffy's fight with Don Krieg is incredibly underrated, illustrating his indomitable determination and grit. All that, plus an inventive location and Nami's betrayal of the crew. People sleep on Baratier, and they really shouldn't, because just like Sanji, Oda was cooking with this one. Number 13, Zoro Arc. A nation full of talking animals on the back of a giant elephant is maybe the most One Piece location for an arc ever. The beautiful, inventive setting and wild character designs bring Zoro to life wonderfully, but it also has a spectacular story.
敵はまるで止めどないゾンビの軍団だが着実に我々は敵を圧倒していた
The Minx battle against Kaido's men and the resulting twist reveal are absolutely unforgettable. For how short it is, the Zoro arc manages to set the stage for two huge arcs that follow it. Since the alliance to take down Kaido forms here, and Luffy and company pursue Sanji to Big Mom's territory.
四皇ビッグマム同じく四皇百獣のカイドウ
Perhaps most importantly, the lore dropped here provides an almost literal roadmap for the series' endgame, finding the One Piece. Number 12, Skypiea Arc. Skypiea sees the crew explore a sea in the sky, where the conflict between the natives and the descendants of an island from below is presided over by a self-styled lightning god. Few arcs have captured the boundless possibilities inherent in One Piece quite like this one, although we'll admit it can have some odd pacing and the side villains are a bit undercooked. However, Enel is a great antagonist, and the Nolan flashback is incredibly compelling. Some people once said you can skip this arc. Time has not been kind to them, since Skypiea is looking increasingly like it hugely foreshadows the story's endgame. Number 11, Arlong Park Arc. Many claim Arlong Park is the arc that got them into One Piece, or at least solidified their love for it. And it's not hard to see why, because it's awesome. The revelations about Nami's tragic past and the pain she has endured while forced to work for Arlong tug at our heartstrings every time. The fights are excellent, and every crew member gets a chance to shine. So many moments in this arc have become iconic, from Luffy giving Nami the Straw Hat to his explosive defeat of Arlong. Arlong Park is where One Piece truly begins to show its potential. It walked so later arcs could run, but its walk is still legendary though. Number 10, Whole Cake Island Arc. This is a whole meal of a story arc. The Alice in Wonderland meets Candyland setting is distinct and memorable, while some of the developments are absolutely wild.
作戦は
完璧なものを考えてある。
さっさとやるぞ。それでお前らとは姉妹だ。
The Straw Hats team up with a mobster to assassinate Big Mom at her daughter's wedding, for crying out loud. Sanji is a major focus, and his backstory is fleshed out even more. And of course, Luffy's battle against Katakuri is among his best in the series. Even less prominent Straw Hats get a chance to shine, like Jinbei or Brook, the secret MVP. While the sheer number of characters and some poor pacing, Wedding Cake, can leave Whole Cake Island feeling a bit overstuffed, the Straw Hats' first battle against an emperor is still fantastic. Number 9, Dressrosa Arc. Luffy and Law's alliance work together to take down the warlord Doflamingo, but things are complicated by a tournament and countless factions descending on Dressrosa at once. The arc has to juggle a lot, and while that can make it unwieldy, it also has so much to offer. The Colosseum fights are incredible. There are multiple heartbreaking backstories, including the one for Law and for a guy dressed like a baby. Luffy obtains a new level of power, both from the iconic Gear 4th debut and from winning dozens of gladiators to his side. Plus, Doflamingo is one of the evilest, yet most charismatic villains in the whole series. The Straw Hats truly start making an impact on the world stage here, and it's magnificent. Number 8. Alabasta Arc. The original kingdom-saving arc, Alabasta has the Straw Hats and Vivi working to stop a civil war in her country, instigated by Crocodile.
当年グリフなんかに頼らずとも自力で探すさ。この国が手に入りゃ時間の問題だ。
Alabasta is a character in itself, while the arc sees every member of the crew challenged like never before. Crocodile is still one of the greatest One Piece villains, being equal parts cunning and powerful. Even his underlings are memorable and get moments to shine. Characters like Robin and Ace make their proper debuts here, and the secrets in the history of the world are teased for the first time. Despite being fairly early in the series, Alabasta is loaded with iconic moments that still resonate today. Number 7. Sabari Archipelago Arc. What at first seems like a fun stopover before Fishman Island quickly turns into one of the most chaotic and game-changing arcs in One Piece.
ドレイクやお前何人殺した？
死の外科医トラファルガード懸賞金2億ベリー
Over a dozen major characters, particularly Luffy's rival rookie pirates, are introduced, with their unique powers teased. Meanwhile, huge lore drops about the Pirate King are explained by Roger's right-hand man, Silver's Rayleigh, and it all builds up to the Straw Hats being separated in a shocking and heartbreaking sequence.
仲間一人も救えない。
Sabari is like a shot of adrenaline in an already incredible story. It takes One Piece in crazy, unexpected directions and sets the stage for even better arcs, while also being packed full of unforgettable moments. Number 6. Impel Down Arc. Everybody loves a prison break, and Impel Down is a phenomenal one. Luffy infiltrates the massive jail to rescue his brother Ace before his scheduled execution. Along the way, he forms unlikely team-ups with both new friends like Jinbei and Ivankov, and old enemies like Buggy and Crocodile. And we'd be remiss without shouting out the biggest ride or die badass, Bon Clay. Impel Down itself is incredibly creative, with each new floor being deadlier and more bizarre than the last. Villains like Magellan and Blackbeard loom large and help drive the stakes and chaos even higher. Impel Down takes Luffy to hell and back, and it's one wild ride. Number 5. Water 7 Arc. It may act like a springboard for the arc that follows it, but Water 7 is plenty amazing in its own right. A fantasy version of Venice full of shipwrights and secrets makes for a great setting.
お前が望んだ決闘だ。当たり前だ。本気で来いよ。
Meanwhile, the arc tests the bonds between the Straw Hats themselves, with Usopp and Robin departing the crew for their own reasons and in equally dramatic ways. We're introduced to future Straw Hat Frankie, as well as the intimidating CP9, whose twist reveal remains one of the finest in the series. There's even a train chase at sea. The world building, interpersonal drama, and character growth all hit a new high with Water 7. Number 4. Wano Country Arc. Easily the longest arc in One Piece yet, Wano is big in other ways too. It sees the culmination of Law and Luffy's plan to take down an emperor, with both Big Mom and Kaido getting defeated by their alliance.
おう、もう一回だ。行くぞ。みんな、他は任せる。
The anime's style changes significantly too, with plenty seeing it as a major improvement. Although Wano's size does come with significant drawbacks, including a ton of pacing problems and more characters than it knows what to do with, its highs still make it one of the best in the series. So many great reveals, countless hype fights, epic flashbacks, and some evocative Japanese-inspired locales. Gear 5th and Roof Piece alone elevate Wano to being in the discussion for the best of the best. Number 3. Egghead Arc. Call it recency bias if you want, but the Egghead Arc is an absolute banger. The Straw Hats arrive at the futuristic Egghead, where the long-rumored Dr. Vegapunk resides. Along with a mini murder mystery, Egghead delivers hype fight after hype fight, both on and off the island. It's jam-packed with lore reveals, returning characters, and a new contender for the saddest character backstory yet. We even get the conclusion of the Levelly arc, finally. Questions are answered, more are raised, and Egghead sets the stage for the end of One Piece in the most explosive way possible. Number 2. Enies Lobby Arc. This is One Piece firing on all cylinders. The Straw Hats take on the world government and CP9, their most elite assassins, all to rescue Robin. Enies Lobby is filled from top to bottom with iconic moments. Robin's backstory is an emotional gut punch. Every crew member gets time in the spotlight, and they all kick their abilities into another gear, figuratively and literally in some cases. Few arcs have managed to intertwine epic action with such emotional, personal stakes for the Straw Hats quite this successfully. It even makes us bawl our eyes out over a boat. If this is your number 1, we honestly can't argue with you. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Marineford Arc. This arc is absolutely nuts. Dozens of story threads and characters collide in a massive conflict involving the series' strongest figures, all with the life of Ace on the line. And Luffy and the Impel Down escapees are literally dropped into the middle of this huge war. Marineford has everything that makes One Piece great: emotional moments, hype fights, crazy reveals, and amazing storytelling. But all turned up to 11, and all happening every single episode. The deaths have our jaws on the floor, and tears flowing freely. Marineford changed everything we thought a One Piece arc could be, and it is glorious. Is there a One Piece arc you think is peak? Share your favorites in those comments below. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.